Yo guys, so today I'll be sharing some of the research that I've done for my client regarding upcoming new launch ELTA, which is at Clementi Avenue 1 area. So today my video will consist mainly of the research from the nearby resales, which is Clavon and Clement Canopy. So stay tuned if you want to find out more on how I analyze this particular launch at ELTA. So we have confirmed news from the developer regarding ELTA's preview date. It will start on the 7th of February and it will launch on a Saturday, which is 22nd of February. So if after my analysis and you feel like this is something that you might require for your own self, then feel free to reach out to me using the QR code to scan, or you can just use the link below for the WhatsApp. Okay, so just to give you guys some context, right? So I just zoom in a little bit. This is the actual site area for the ELTA plot and it'll be over here, okay? And it will be surrounded by Clavon, which is part of my analysis, and also Clement Canopy. So from here, at least you get to understand what is the surrounding of ELTA itself. Okay, so now we will start proper on looking at the details of ELTA. Okay, so over here, ELTA, we are looking at Clementi Avenue 1 there, and it's 2 towers of 39 stories, 1 basement, and 3-story multi-story car park. So later on, I will try to show you how the artist impression will look like for the multi-story car park, because it's not like a standard one. The buildings are on top of the multi-story car park. Okay, so it's 99 years. And then one thing I want to take note is the land size, 144,000 square feet. Okay, 501 residential units, and you have 401 car park lots. So this is not 1-to-1 ratio. We are looking at about 2029, 2030 for DOP. So over here, we have the breakdown for each particular unit layout, and also how many units of each particular layout we have. And today I'll be focusing on the 3-bedders. Okay, so honestly, if today you are buying a 3-bedroom, there's not a lot of choices. Okay, and at the same time, there's only 72 units for the 3-bedroom, and 3-bedroom premium we only have 36, so only 108 units in total. And then the square area, we are looking at 3-bedroom 926 square feet, and 3-bedroom premium is 1023 square feet. But overall, based on the unit mix, I think we are looking at a very good mix in terms of the 2 bedrooms and below and the 3 bedrooms and above, because majority of the development seems to be leaning towards the bigger bedroom sizes, which is more ideal for own stay purposes. Okay, so now we look at the artist impression, from the facade of the development. So overall, it looks very classy. It looks quite similar to Clavon, if you ask me. And you can see over here, this was the multi-story car park that I was talking about, which is over here. So later I will show you, based on the architect brief, how does it actually look like from level to level, because it does seem like the first floor for ELTA starts from the 4th floor of the car park. So later on I'll show you, but just to take note, so even though there's a multi-story car park here, it is not blocking any of the units or the view. And in fact, I think it's a good addition because it's a buffer away from the AYE. So do take note, instead of basement car park, the multi-story car park over here might actually add on to the benefits for the residents here, because it actually elevates the entire development. Okay, so over here you can see, so this is the ELTA site plan, So we are right beside Clavon and Clement Canopy. And then over here, we are facing towards AYE. And you can see, because the developer actually had the multi-story car park over here, as well as the bulk of the facilities, we do have quite a decent buffer away from the AYE. And then we have the other side, which is buffer from the Clementi Avenue 1 road and Nanhua School over there. So I think it's a good balance. At least it's in between. You're not too close to Clementi Avenue 1 or the AYE that side. So if you compare to Clement Canopy, you can see actually on their side, this tower is a lot closer to AYE, whereas they have one block that is totally quite far away. So the premium that you pay for the blocks that is facing towards AYE, which with a large buffer, definitely the premium will be a lot more. Same for the premium that is facing towards the Nanhua School, but it's much further away. So over here, it's kind of a balance of the two. And for Clavon, you can see, actually Clavon, this particular stacks over here is very close to the main road that is right beside the AYE. But for the other stacks and the blocks, the distance and buffer is quite a good distance away from the roads. So over here, we have a rough guide for each of the stacks, if you were to purchase for this, maybe Clementi Avenue 1 facing or AYE facing. So over here, if you're facing towards here, you're most likely going to face Clementi HDB that side and the Nanhua School that side. Okay, so just a simple rule. Maybe if you want to buy for own stay, you need to take note how high the school is, and at the same time, if the ground floor starting from the fourth floor, etc., will it clear the school? All this you have to take note if you are looking to own stay or even investment. And then the other side, we have towards the Clement Canopy side. So you can see actually the developer, right, they purposely allocate this block in between the first block and second block of Clement Canopy so that you kind of have some sort of unblocked views if you were to view from the particular bedroom of that unit type. So I think this is really well planned by the developers. And of course, towards the bottom side, it will be towards the landed properties and the AYE that side. So same for this. And we have a good buffer away, right, from Clavon that side also. Yeah, so I think these are the minor things you need to take note of for yourself. Okay, so I tried to impose the site plan onto the area itself. So it's not the best quality, but you just get a feel, right? So basically, this one is Clavon's like first block, second block, and then this is ELTA's first block, second block. And then over here, lastly, we have Clement Canopy's first block and second block. Yeah. So mainly I'll be using data from the two resale developments beside ELTA. So some people might ask me, actually, bro, why don't you use Park Clementi's as the basis of comparison? So from my own understanding is that Park Clementi's is not a high-rise development as compared to Clavon and like Clement Canopy because these two are like 40-story buildings. If I'm not wrong, Park Clementi's is not so high-rise. And at the same time, right, their land area is going to be much bigger than these three plots. So I feel like it's not really the best comparison in terms of unit size and facilities, site plans, all this. So I'm just using these two as I feel like it's the best basis of comparison. Okay, so over here we have a clearer picture of how ELTA's site plan look like. Okay, so mainly the dark brown one will be 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom. So later I'll cover this in more detail during my analysis. But just to let you see what is the upcoming site plan at ELTA. Okay, so just now I was talking about the building being on top of the multi-story car park, right? So this is what I was trying to say. So if you see here, right, let's zoom in a little bit. So AYE will be on this side. And then we are looking at about a 17-meter height, right? Height difference from AYE. So it's definitely going to be quite a far away distance really. And you can see the developer, they design in such a way, right? They put all the car park space as close as the AYE as possible. So over here, you can see we have a 3-story, multi-story car park. We are kind of starting from the 4th floor, and there's a total of 36 floors all the way until number 39. So just to take note, you're not starting from ground floor. Your ground floor is 4th floor onwards. Okay, so now this is the slightly confusing part. So just bear with me. So you can see, right, this is the first story of the entire development. So you can see the first facilities, right? We can start to see tennis court over here, playground, water play pool. And then this is the entrance area, the guardhouse, fitness corner. And you can see this middle part, right? It is the multi-story car park, but it doesn't start from level 1. So this is just something for you to orientate how it will look like in the future. And then now we straight away jump to the 3rd story. So the 3rd story over here, you can see they actually have this like sky bridge kind of concept at the guardhouse there. So it kind of looks like your entrance is going to be quite grand. And this is quite similar to what they are doing at Nava Grove. At least I see from the Sky Garden, Sky Bridge kind of concept. Yeah, because they are doing the Sky Bridge is towards the expressway that side. But this one, they are doing towards the Clementi Avenue 1 roadside. And then now we have the 4th floor, which is the top of the multi-story car park, right? You can see, so the main pool, the 50-meter lap pool, and also all the jacuzzi, the smaller pool, the barbecue pavilion, gym, all this, they are all on top of the multi-story car park. And you can see this is where the development will start their first floor, which is 4th floor onwards. So try to visualize that you are on the 4th floor, but your unit is still the ground floor. So overall, when we combine all the floors together, it will look something like this. Yeah, so this is just something for you to take note because I think when you see the show flat or the show model itself, it's very hard to see the breakdown by per floor. So that's why I'm kind of sharing it on a per floor basis so that you know what to expect. Okay, so now I'll start my analysis by looking at the land bid prices. So when we see here, right, land bid prices between MCL land and CSC land, right, they actually came in a joint venture for Clementi Avenue 1 at 1250 PSF PPR. So this is how I will use this to estimate for ELTA's pricing. You can see over here, so land bid price, right, you can see Lentor mentioned it was 985. And then we are seeing a launch of about 2.1K to 2.4K PSF. For Emerald Katong, it's a little bit anomaly, but we just take it as to reference. 1069 PSF PPR, then average of about 2621 PSF. Norwood Grand, 904 PSF PPR, then average launch was about 2067. Then Orie, right, you can see 1360 PSF PPR, and then we are starting from 2.4K all the way up to 2.9K PSF. So when we see these numbers and then we reference to ELTA, because all these land are harmonized one, so it's kind of similar. You notice I never take Trump Park because Trump Park is still under the old sizing and ruling. So that's why I excluded that for an easier calculation. So for ELTA, right, 1250 PSF PPR, I expect it to start from 2300 PSF onwards. And seeing that it close to 40-story development, it should have the similar premium per jump per floor as compared to Orie. So maybe the high floor for ELTA, I estimate maybe 2.7, 2.8K. Okay, so now I'll compare, right, the facings, the site plan, and the layout of Clavon, ELTA, and Clement Canopy. So from here, I'm quite sure after my analysis, you'll be able to have a more complete understanding of the Clementi Avenue 1 area if you are completely not familiar with it. Okay, so over here, we can see block 10 of ELTA, right, which is this block 10 over here. It will be similar facing, right, to Clavon's and also Clement Canopies over here. So if you want to see the particular view for ELTA and you be kiasu, actually you can arrange a viewing to see at Clavon or Clement Canopy just to get a feel of what to expect. The only difference is that block 12 for ELTA over here, you can see the orientation, right, is slightly different as compared to block 10. Okay, don't know if you can see it clearly. But the block 10, the views will be like this, whereas the block 12, the orientation is slightly different. So for block 10, you can kind of estimate what the view you're expecting but for block 12, you have to orientate yourself a little bit for block 12. Okay, so now we will compare the site plan. So ELTA, right, we are looking on the left side over here. It has a multi-story car park, but overall, I still feel like the development is kind of in a good spot. But the only thing I have is that it's not one big plate of facilities. That's the only thing that I feel could have been improved on. But then again, maybe the developer wanted a graduating facade instead of everything at one level, it kind of looks better in this way. Yeah. Then for Clement Canopy, it is a multi-story car park as well, but it is also slightly different from ELTA's one because they never built the car park on top of they never built the development on top of the car park. So this is something for you to take note. And last but not least, we have the Clavon's site plan over here. So Clavon, right, actually I think is, to me, is the most well done site plan because they have one big floor plate and all the facilities are on one floor and they have a basement car park. So if you ask me, I feel like I would give the site plan advantage towards Clavon. But then again, because they don't have the multi-story car park and the whole development built on top of it, it does feel like it loses up a little bit for the lower units. Yeah. So over at ELTA, the lower units does start off from 4th floor. But for Clavon, right, you're still starting from level 1. So maybe this is something, just a small difference over here. So today you might be thinking, actually, just look at ELTA, why I want to care about Clement Canopy or Clavon. So why today this is important, right? It's because if you guys have been in the market long enough, you will have known that Clement Canopy and Clavon is highly profitable developments. So today, we want to replicate the winning formula for ELTA as well. So if we see that ELTA has similar characteristics to these two resale developments, what do you think the profit margin for ELTA will be? So if today ELTA is not going to be too far off from Clement Canopy and Clavon, My guess is that as long as the entry price is good, we are going to be looking at a highly profitable development as well. So that is why I feel like it's important to compare to the resale condos nearby. Okay, so now we'll look at the project info for these three developments. So first thing is Clavon, TOP 2024, okay? And then the land size, we are looking at 178,000 square feet, total of 640 units. So now we have Clement Canopy, TOP 2019. So 5 years gap from Clavon, and then Clavon will also be another 5 years gap from ELTA. So Clement Canopy, land size 140,000 square feet. We have a unit count of 505. Last but not least, we have ELTA over here. So ELTA, you can see 144,000 square feet, and we have 501 residential units. So if you ask me between the three, they are really very similar in size, but in the end, you see Clavon is still the biggest land. Maybe there's a few constraints with the smaller land plot. That is why ELTA couldn't build a basement car park. I mean, I'm not sure exactly, but it seems like over here, Clavon has the biggest land plot, but Clement Canopy and ELTA is going to be very similar in terms of land size. And the number of units was also very similar. So technically, ELTA kind of wins Clement Canopy by a small margin because you can see the land size is slightly bigger, but we have a lesser number of residential units, but it only short by 4 units. So I wouldn't say it's a big difference, but at least between the three condos, we do see a lot of similarities. Okay, so now we see the residential analysis, right, for Clement Canopy and Clavon. So this will help you kind of estimate who are the buyers that's going to be purchasing ELTA that is upcoming on the 7th of February. Okay, so you can see for Clement Canopy, almost 85% is Singaporeans, and their previous address actually come from HDB and private. So to me, right, it's not a surprise at all for Clement Canopy. And even if you look at Clavon, also 89% Singaporeans, and we are looking almost a 50-50 ratio with private and HDB address. So you might be wondering, wow, actually isn't Clavon like not cheap at all? So when we see here, right, quite a strong number of purchases come from HDB upgraders. So from what I see, right, because there is a lot of $1 million HDB transactions ongoing at Clementi area. So it's no longer a surprise to me that the HDB owners there are able to easily upgrade towards a private property because the profits they are able to get from their BTO can easily pay off the down payment. The only thing they need to change is probably the monthly installment. But other than that, the down payment is mostly covered by the profits from the BTO itself. Okay, so right now I will start on the layout comparisons for the 3 bedrooms. So over here, ELTA, we only have 2 types of 3 bedroom layouts, 926 square feet and 1023 square feet. So now we will touch on the 926 first. So I think this 926 square feet is going to be quite standard and it's harmonized ruling. So they don't count the AC latch, only count the balcony, all this. Okay, and overall, it does seem kind of standard. There's windows for the bathroom, kitchen, bathroom, and it's just a nice L shape to ensure privacy, but overall kind of standard layout. And now we have the 1023 square feet layout type. So this is something I would say a little bit more unique really, okay? So over here, right, they have the dining area, living area, but what they have over here is a little bit more special. You can see this kitchen area to the study, right? So you can see dry kitchens over here, and then wet kitchen, and then they have a yard with the dryer, and then there's a long corridor with the WC and then the study here. So for this layout, I really feel there's a lot of room for imagination. So sometimes people might actually want to put, you can see, so actually the master bedroom, the door is here. So you might want to put the master bedroom door, then you remove this wall to have a bigger space for the living room area. Or you can even have your dining over here. I think it really depends on how you want to configure this layout. But I do feel like for this size, right? Okay, so you must understand, this is a 1023 square feet, but this is harmonized already. So if you look in terms of the normal, include the AC latch, the layout, right? It should be closer to 1001 square feet already. If you ask me, I do feel like 1100 square feet, you don't have a proper storeroom or they have the yard and the WC, but I just feel like the study, I guess it can double up as a storeroom, but it's not as efficient. Yeah, and do bear in mind that this is actually a dumbbell layout for a 3 bedroom, because the bedroom there's one on there's one on the other side, and two on each side. So I just feel like it's not a very efficient layout, given that it is 1023. If you go and take a look at the Orie, right, you see the 3 bedroom, the developer CDL, they actually managed to squeeze 850 square feet. They have 3 bedrooms, down layout, and they have a storeroom. Okay, so they don't have a WC or the yard area, but they have a storeroom inside the kitchen there. So I think that was really very impressive. But when I look at this 1023 square feet, maybe I don't have the exact dimensions, but the living and dining area could be slightly bigger than the normal one we have been seeing in the market. So this one is something that you need to take note when you look at the bigger 3 bedroom sizes at ELTA. And of course, slight downside is that here we have the bathroom. It's a Jack and Jill entry, but it doesn't have a window. Okay, so right now, why am I going through all these layouts, all this? Because today, imagine ELTA, right? You buy in 2025 and then looking to sell at 2029. So over here, like if I never compare to Clavon and Clement Canopy, the 3 bedroom layouts, your buyer in the future, they will confirm compare between these 3 developments one, because to them, right, they are side by side. So they want to just compare and see which one is the best layout, which makes sense for them. And of course, I will later on go through in terms of the quantum in the price gap. I think that's very important because in the end, buyers are price sensitive, and if the certain layout fulfills a purpose at a much cheaper rate, right, then I feel like it will be a tough sell if you're buying at a much higher budget. So this one is something to take note. It's always easy to buy, but will it be easy to sell? Okay, so right now I'll be going through the 2 main layouts for the 3 bedroom at Clavon. So over here, you can see there's a 958 square feet and a 1130 square feet for Clavon 3 bedroom. So over here, I think Clavon's 3 bedroom, the 958 one, quite standard. I think it's going to be quite close to the 926 square feet at ELTA. So ELTA one will be slightly bigger if you include the AC latch, okay? And I think it's overall quite similar to the ELTA one. Yeah, so quite standard. So kitchen area, and then one bathroom don't have window, this one got window, and the rest all is facing outside. So for this one, maybe the small advantage is that the bathroom too, they have the windows for ventilation. Okay. And then now we are looking at Clavon's 3 bedroom, 1130 square feet, right? So over here, I think this is the layout that we are all more accustomed towards. So you can see here, they have a storeroom, WC, wet kitchen, dry kitchen, and then a bathroom with windows, and all the others are quite standard. So maybe you can leave in the comment section today if you are a resale buyer, would you be more keen towards Clavon's 1130 square feet unit type, which is the layout maybe we are more accustomed towards, or would you be more keen to maybe explore something like this at the ELTA's 1023 square feet? Because in terms of sizing, they are probably the most similar already. Maybe ELTA's one is slightly smaller than what we have at Clavon's, So maybe that's why they are not able to squeeze in so many things compared to Clavon. So last but not least, we have Clement Canopy's 3 bedroom layout types. So I think this one also quite standard, 990 square feet. And then over here, they have a dry kitchen, over here, wet kitchen, then yard. So I think the only thing that maybe is not so well done as compared to Clavon for the smaller type, right, is that you can see actually the dining is kind of squeezed towards the entrance of the kitchen. So if you put a longer table, or a wider table, actually it will eat into the corridor space that you walk over here or the entrance towards the kitchen. Whereas you can see, actually, at least for the Clavon one, right, you don't really have the space blocking the corridor or the kitchenway. Okay, so this one is slightly better designed, Clavon over Clement Canopy. Then you can see over here, same thing. I think ELTA's this smaller 3 bedroom compact, it will be a bigger advantage over Clement Canopy's one. So these are the little nitty-gritty details that I feel will make a difference if people are comparing beyond the budget. And now we have the 1109 square feet for Clement Canopy. So over here is quite a decent size 3 bedroom. You can see dry kitchen here, wet kitchen, WC, yard. And the good thing is like they have this like utility room, or you can put it as a storeroom, up to you. But over here they have a slightly bigger balcony. So over here, right, you can see because the layout, they designed in a way instead of the long shape, they did it in a other rectangle shape. So that's why your living room area, maybe it feels slightly wider instead of the long towards the corridor entrance there. Yeah, so it's in the other form. And because the dining is right beside the living room area, I feel like there is maybe a little bit more space you can play around with the layout. Whereas you can see like for Clavon, the living room is here and then the dining room is here. It's like you don't really have much options to play around this particular layout type. Same for the ELTA's one. Okay, yeah. So this is overall the comparisons for the 3 bedroom layouts we have amongst the 3 developments. So if maybe I just want to see a public opinion based on what I go through, do you guys feel like which layout you prefer more? Do you like ELTA's one more or you like the resale developments one more? So from here, maybe we can get a rough sensing, right, of what people want in the market. But for me, I have my own experience in the resale market. So I do know which is the layout type that certain owners, like 3 bedroom owners, they will want, especially if they have kids, they have a helper, all this. Okay, so right now I'll be going to the second part, which is the price analysis for these 3 developments. So first things first, I want to do a little bit something different. So I'm going to dig up, right, Clement Canopy when it launched and also Clavon when it launched. So this will give you a rough sensing of the demand around here also. Okay, so Clement Canopy, right, launched in 2017. Okay, 2017. So they only sold about 200 units out of 500 units available. And then the PSF at the launch was about 1,003 to 1,005 PSF. So I did a range for the low floor to the high floor. So this is only for the 3 bedroom. And now we look at Clavon, right, when it launched. 2020, okay, so they said they sold about 70% of the units at Clavon. And then the 3 bedroom PSF launch was between 1,005 the low floor to 1,007 for the high floor. So I think overall pretty strong sales. We had about 400 plus units out of the 640 being sold at Clavon. Yeah, and this does say a lot because this happened during 2020, right? It was probably near the COVID period. So I would say there will be probably more fear and uncertainty. And today, you imagine if we are in a lowering interest rate environment and you can see from Emerald of Katong, Nava Grove, Trump Park, the response. And we will see what happens for Orie, but I do think Orie should be pretty well received also. And yeah, from there, I'm sure you can gauge for yourself what is going to happen at ELTA. So today, right, I'll be going through with you what were the transactions that was before Clavon's launch in 2020. So right now, you can see the transactions we have, right, was only these two, which is September 2019 and March 2020. So from here, you can see that these two transactions are considered a sub-sale and it's the range of 1,004 to 1,005 PSF and Clement Canopy. So there was only about 1 to 2 transactions that were kind of close to Clavon's launch date. So over here, I just want to highlight, right, they bought at 1,004 PSF and then this guy sold at 1.77 million. So the profit was about 170k lah. You can see, right, at Clavon, when it launched, the 3 bedroom, right, we're looking at between 1,005 to 1,007 PSF. And if we compare, this is a high floor unit. So it's a very good gauge really. So the high floor, we'll be using high floor to high floor comparison. So 1,005 square feet, right? At 1,005 PSF, you compare to Clavon's high floor, which is 1,007, right? We are looking at about $200 per square feet gap from Clavon. So we're looking at about maybe 3 years kind of gap. Okay, if you use the TOP date, you'll be 5 years. So if you compare 5 years, it will be probably about $40 PSF per year. Yeah, so you need to use all this data that's available to you to make your own comparison. I think the 3 years I put over here is from the launch date itself, but a more accurate calculation will be using when Clavon is actually going to DOP. So also, right, from here, you should be able to use what we have transacted at Clavon right now to do a rough gauge for what is going to be at ELTA. And from there, that is where I'll be able to create my walkaway price and what is the recommended price range that we should be looking at for low floor to high floor. And this is how I feel you need to prepare if today you're looking at buying ELTA for the launch day itself. Okay, so now we look at Clement Canopy's, right, launch day how it performed. So you can see there is a total of 1, 2, 3, and 4 stacks of 3 bedrooms available. So stack 2, which is over here, this one, stack 2, right, you can see that it's because it's facing over here, it is the nearest to this empty plot. So over maybe at that time, I'm not sure when Clement Canopy launched, was this already zoned as residential or is still an empty plot yet? But there could be a very high chance that it could be residential. So maybe that's why the response for this stack 2 was the poorest, because you see, stack 2 only looking at 2 out of 40 sold. And then stack 5, 19 out of 40, stack 6, 16 out of 40, and stack 10, 19 out of 40. So I would imagine why maybe the stack 6 sold slightly lesser than stack 5 and stack 10 is because it's the inner facing and the buffer to AYE is the furthest. So maybe the developer has the highest premium for stack 6. And maybe stack 10 was like the next. Yeah, so that is the order in terms of the pricing premium for each particular facing and stack. And I did a compilation on the mixtures of floors and all that. So actually, even this facing towards the Nanhua side or the AYE side, there wasn't a particular preference as to what the buyers were looking at. I feel like maybe it was just a concern on the empty plot over here. Other than that, there wasn't a particular preference for what floor it is. Yeah, so right now you can see actually there's only one stack of 3 bedroom facing towards the AYE, and majority of them are facing towards the HDB, the Nanhua school side. So I think the preference is people not really worried about the AYE facing. It might be just because they're worried about the future construction coming up. Okay, so now we look at the Clavon's 3 bedroom profitable transaction. So we even have up to 600 plus thousand to 500 plus thousand range. So over here, right, what I'm doing, I'm just going to take the high floor transaction, which is this unit over here is on the 36th floor. So they transacted at 2,320 PSF, and the transaction is quite recent, August 24. So this will be my basis of comparison, right, for Clavon versus ELTA, using like a 4-5 years buffer in terms of the years. So 3 bedroom profits range from 400k to 600k, and there is a total number of 21 transactions for the 3 bedroom sold in 2024. And right now, there is only a number of 6 units on sale in Property Guru. So you can go and take a look. You can do some CSI. To me, right, this is a very healthy representation of the 3 bedroom demand versus the supply over there. So to me, if you list a unit there, you expect your unit to be sold within maybe 3 months or less, depending on whether you're the first to go. But overall, there is a very shortage of supply versus demand in Clementi Avenue 1 area. So right now, right, if I calculate based on ELTA's estimate and do bear in mind that this is a harmonized plot. So maybe the 3 bedroom PSF launch will be looking at maybe 2,003 PSF for the low floor up to 2,700 PSF for the high floor. So of course, this one is purely my estimate. Please do not use my numbers to go and take it, oh, you know, the agent say this, but I'm just having this for you to have a rough gauge as to what to expect. And also why I have these numbers, right, is because I'm using Orie as example. So you see Orie, right? Orie, as you all already know, we are looking at 24XX for the low floor for 3 bedrooms. And high floor, of course, we don't know what's the exact one, but we estimate to be 2XX, 2,800 plus. So I think for ELTA, it's just everything minus $100 per square feet. It should be quite close. You know, maybe you can leave in the comment section of what you think the ELTA's launch price is going to be. I think this is going to be quite close. So over here, right, you can see Clavon's resale for 3 bedrooms, right? 1,009 PSF for the low floor and 2,003 PSF for the high floor. So in the resale market, it already has formed the $400 PSF gap between low floor to high floor. So I think it's kind of reasonable to expect the same happening for ELTA as well, which is about $400 per square feet difference. So maybe 400 PSF gap from Clavon, we look at 5 years, $400, so $80 per square feet. Okay, so this calculation, to bear in mind, I'm just using it just for simple math because for ELTA, right, it should be, if you take a harmonized calculation, right, maybe it should be in the 22 to 2001 PSF range. If you want to compare with Clavon, because it's gonna be like inclusive of the AC ledge. Yeah. But from here, just for easy math, I'm just going to use this comparison. So even if let's say we take for ELTA, right, we'll be looking maybe like 2002 PSF starting from it'll be probably like 300 PSF gap for 5 years. Then divided by 5, you'll be looking at about 60 PSF per year. So if you already can see the trend, this $60 PSF per year, right, is going to be quite similar to what we have when Clavon actually launched versus Clement Canopy. So I think this is something that if you already know all these numbers, do you think this actually makes sense as a purchase in a new launch market today when we have all the supporting resale prices from Clavon and Clement Canopy? Yeah, and the reason why I didn't do the pre-harmonized PSF calculation from the start is because we don't even have the actual PSF. So I think until closer to the preview day, or the launch, the developer, once they give out the launch prices, then I'll be able to do a more accurate assessment. But from here, I think you kind of get my methodology as to how I do what is a safe entry price and what is a walkaway price for ELTA itself. Yeah. And I think why the developer never released the price so soon is because they want to see the take-up rate, right, of like Orie, 2004 to 2009, right, for 3-bedrooms. How would the performance be? I can tell you, if today the Orie's performance is going to be fantastic, then ELTA won't be cheap. That's all I can tell you. But I don't think ELTA is going to be priced higher than Orie, that's for sure, because of the proximity to the MRT. But I think don't be surprised if you see something that is beyond my estimates here, because it really depends on what is the supply remaining in the market. And I can tell you, I have a few buyers. They're also just choosing between like Orie, ELTA, and Parktown, maybe the upcoming Atlanta, that plot, or Margaret Drive. So, like, to be honest, even though the year probably they have a lot of launches coming up, but there's only a select few that I'll recommend my clients to go towards. Okay, so right now we will be looking at the launch day for Clavon itself. So we'll be able to gauge the demand, right, with regards to the facing and what the buyers are looking at during the launch day. Okay, so over here we have a total of 4 stacks for the 3-bedroom. Stack 1, stack 10, stack 13, and stack 9 over here. Okay, so you can see we have a very similar performance. So stack 1, facing inwards, we have 24 out of 40 units sold. Stack 9, being AYE facing, right, it only sold 7 out of 40 units. So definitely it's the poorest performance. Stack 10, 20 out of 40. Stack 13, 28 out of 40. So from here, right, we already have a very clear understanding that AYE facing definitely not preferred by buyers. And I can tell you, I don't need to see this, probably the AYE facing units should be a lower PSF than those facing inwards. But even the lower pricing, right, the units actually move slower towards the AYE side. So today, if you're buying, be it the Clavon or even Clement Canopy or ELTA, right, I would say if the premium is really not that big between the AYE facing or the Clementi Avenue 1 facing, right, try to go for the more premium facing. It should be able to perform better in the resale market in terms of sellability. So people will be more readily accepting of the inward facing one. So, but this is based on my own research and also experience in the resale market. If today you have a constraint in your budget or this, then of course, no choice. If you like the location, I think AYE facing is still okay one. So remember just now when I shared about ELTA's site plan. So these 3 brown color plots that I circled, stack 9, stack 2, and stack 4, they are the 3-bedrooms. So I think very good news for ELTA 3-bedroom buyers. There is not a single AYE facing 3-bedroom. So I think the developer, maybe they also do the same research with me. I'm not sure, but they don't have any 3-bedroom that is facing towards AYE. So there's a pros and cons to this. It means that those facing inwards one, right, which is the Clementi Avenue 1, Nanhua School facing, it might not be cheap because I'm quite sure AYE facing for low floor, it will be cheaper one. Yeah, so right now, if we're looking facing inwards, not as much noise, the premium I'm quite sure will be higher. Okay, so right now, I think this is quite an interesting segment also. What if, right, I bought Clement Canopy resale instead of Clavon when it launched that day. Because, I think a lot of agents always say, wow, buy new launch, sure make money and all that. I think it's important to go and understand, right, what is the resale performance in the area to actually know, like, does the launch actually make more money and what is the difference? So from here, I'm gonna answer this question, okay? So over here, right, just try to bear with me, okay? It's a bit messy, but I have two graphs. So the bottom one, which is blue color over here, this is the line for Clement Canopy. Whereas over here, the pink color one, it is Clavon's transactions. Okay, so you can see over here, the bars are the volume, and then Clavon, right, very clearly it launched in Q4 2020. Okay, then over here we have Q1 2017 was when Clement Canopy launched. So over the same period from 2017 all the way to 2024, right, which is the timeline for this graph, we can see, so I just go straight to the numbers over here. Clement Canopy, right, actually had a capital appreciation of about 20% all the way to around Q2 2021, because like that was the most recent transaction after Clavon, and there were still units remaining at Clavon. So if that time you were a buyer and you were not sure whether you wanted to buy Clement Canopy or Clavon, right? So that's why I use that as a best gauge. Then at that time when Clement Canopy actually was selling at 1,005 PSF, Clavon at the launch this one is the remaining units. So it was at about $1,600 per square feet range. So we were looking at about a 5% to 6% price gap. And I fast forward to today, I can see that Clement Canopy, if you bought at Q2 2021, you actually experienced a 22% in terms of capital appreciation versus Clavon over the same period. So over here, you can see, actually, you bought a 2021 Q2, 1,005 PSF, and then today, fast forward, Q4 2024, right? We are looking at Clement Canopy transacting at 1,009 PSF. So definitely, you cannot tell me that resale cannot buy. This is highly profitable. And you must understand, Clavon only managed to TOP today. So if you factor in the rental, if you have to rent it while waiting for Clavon to TOP. Okay, so if you compare like this, right, if you just look at the rental itself, you probably might have made even more than the buyers at Clavon because they have a similar growth. So you can see Clavon buyers, right, they enter about 1,600 PSF. They have a 28% capital appreciation over 4 years. And today we are looking to achieve about 2,146 average PSF. Of course, there's higher, of course, there's lower, but this is the range we are looking at. So I think there's nothing wrong with buying a resale, but you have to know why this resale has the potential to grow. It's because this particular area, we have the upcoming land side by side. So to me, right, this is how I guide my buyers for resale as well. If you want to buy a resale today, you definitely have to look at lands that is already zoned for GLS or residential plots of land. And this will form your future ceiling in prices. I can tell you, I'm very confident if today there wasn't the plot of Clavon being sold in the resale market, I don't think Clement Canopy will have appreciated as fast as in this 5-year period. It will probably be lagging behind, maybe compared to an area which has a GLS or another new launch nearby. Okay, so and then we are looking at about a 9% in terms of price gap. So this is what I call the true first mover advantage, because you really know that right beside you, there is an upcoming new launch or a GLS already. So even if whole Clement Canopy, right, I don't think you really lose out much to Clavon. Okay, it might be higher profits if you held on to Clement Canopy because, you got buyer stamp duty, rental, transaction fee. But if today you are buying, let's say ELTA as purely investment, right, or even Clavon at that time, and then you have your own place to stay, then I think that's a totally different ballgame because you're saving in terms of progressive payment, and you actually pay a lot lesser in terms of like property tax, all this, because you still don't have the property yet. Yeah, but if you bought Clement Canopy and then you rent out, maybe overall you might lose out as compared to buying Clavon in terms of cost. Yeah, so that's why I emphasize the importance of choosing near a future GLS or new launch. So today, after I go through with you what happened for Clavon and Clement Canopy, right, Today, if given the same opportunity, right, and then we have ELTA coming up, do you think that Clavon's resale is worth buying? And that one will be largely dependent on what ELTA is launching at. So I think this is very important today. You need to understand if we are really looking at this Clementi Avenue 1 area, right? Don't rule out the possibility of Clavon resale instead of ELTA, because I think there should be a very strong resale performance from Clavon, judging by the similarities in terms of site plan, layout, all this. So of course, it will depend a lot on your entry price. And if today ELTA actually launched very close to what we see at Clavon, then I really don't think Clavon is a good buy. If you compare in that sense. So right now, I think it's a very big question mark as to how much ELTA will launch, and that will actually determine how much Clavon will actually appreciate. And you can feel free to leave in the comment section below. If today you are a buyer, right, looking at 3-bedroom, and based on my analysis that I shared just now, would you put your money at a 3-bedroom Clavon resale, or would you buy a 3-bedroom at ELTA? Yeah, because I think this is different for everyone. So for own stay or for investment. So for own stay, right, if you were to rent and then buy ELTA, would you do it, or would you go and straight away buy a Clavon resale? I think this is quite interesting segment, and there is no right, no wrong, because I do believe everyone has their own timeline and maybe cash flow, which one they prefer. So do leave in the comment section which one you feel like is a better fit for you. Okay, so right now I'll be covering on the price gap, right, between the three developments. Okay, so this is just based on my rough math. Don't take my numbers too seriously. I'm just estimating maybe if ELTA, we are looking at about 2004 PSF, which is probably not the ground floor. So for the 926 square feet, right, we are looking at 2.22 million. And this price gap from the 2 plus study will be looking at about 285,000. Whereas for the 1023 square feet, if we are looking at estimate of 2,400 PSF, right, we'll be looking at 2.455 million. So over here, the price gap from the 3-bedroom to the 3 plus study, we'll be looking at 232,000. And last but not least, I also want to see the price gap between this 3 plus study to the 4-bedroom. So this one, the gap will be even bigger at 386,000. So if you ask me, I feel like the sweet spot, right, probably between these two 3-bedroom layouts is going to be quite okay, because the gap is not that big. Yeah, but the bigger gap will come from 3 plus study to the 4-bedroom one. So I think this is just something for you to take note if you are considering between the 3 plus study and the 4-bedroom. Okay, so now I want to compare, right, the 3-bedroom price gap for Clavon, Clement Canopy, and ELTA. Okay, so you can see over here, I just want to bring your attention to part by part first. So Clavon resale 3-bedroom, we're looking at between 2009 to 2003 PSF transacted. Clement Canopy transacted 2008 to 2009. ELTA, so that's why I estimate it's about 2003 to 2007. I feel like it's not a stretch. It's probably quite reasonable considering the TOP about 5 years later. So let's go into the numbers. So Clavon resale 3-bedroom, right? You can see for the 958 square feet high floor, we are looking at 2.22 million and 2,300 PSF. For the mid floor, 113 feet layout height, 2.48 million and 2.1K to 2.2K PSF. Clement Canopy, 990 square feet, 1.97 million, about 1.9 to 2,000 PSF. So mid floor also same thing. So now ELTA, right, you can see this 3-bedroom, I estimate, right, for the low floor, 926 square feet, we'll be looking at 2.129 million, and then high floor, we're looking at 2.5 million. So same thing for the 1023 square feet, 2.3 million, and then 2.7 million for the high floor. Okay, so now let's look at the price gap. So for the smaller 3-bedroom types, which is below 1,000 square feet one, Clement Canopy, 2019, we're looking at 1.97 million. Clavon, 2024, 2.22 million. ELTA, 2029, 2.5 million. Is this a good enough price gap or buffer? Between Clavon and Clement Canopy, we are already looking at a 250,000 price gap. And then Clavon and ELTA estimate to be $280,000 dollars gap. If you ask me, right, I think this is a very reasonable price gap, because the market, the resale market, right, has already accepted a 250 price gap, 250,000 price gap from Clavon to Clement Canopy, and it is a 5-year gap. So today, I think if ELTA is launching at about 2.5 million for the smaller 3-bedroom. I think definitely it's going to be quite reasonable price point and the market is going to be able to absorb this. And then the next part is the big 3-bedroom mid-floor layout types. So Clement Canopy, same thing, 1.93 million. Clavon, 2.48 million. ELTA, if maybe mid-floor, I maybe think is 2.557. Over here, we have about 550,000 in terms of price gap between Clavon and Clement Canopy, but it is still accepted. So because there was only transaction for the 990 square feet at Clement Canopy, I think the bigger units totally no supply. So I think this is the best that I could come up with. Maybe Clement Canopy, if the bigger units have been transacted, the numbers might have been a lot closer. But as of right now, this is what I see. Okay, and Clavon, if let's say the mid-floor, they really sold at 2.48 for the bigger ones. ELTA, maybe if they launch at 2.557 million, we'll be looking at about a 77,000 gap. But no actual pricing from ELTA yet. The main thing I want you to take away is the methodology. So right now, it's really all estimates. And for me, right, I don't really want to estimate how much the developer is going to be launching at. I'm just using this framework, and then at the actual launch day or the preview, they give the price. I'll be just using this same exact framework to calculate what is the price gap for my clients. So I do already have a few clients that's looking at ELTA, and I think I'm quite sure this will be very helpful for them. And I've also done for other bedroom types as well. Okay, so now I'll be just doing a brief summary of profit analysis. I won't go too much into it. So right now we look at Clavon's transactions, right? So the main takeaway from this is that the bigger profits are actually coming from the bigger units, but they are only slightly more than the smaller units. So today, if you are constrained by your budget and all that, I think definitely there's no problem going for a smaller unit because the profit margin will still be a very, very strong amount, especially in this Clementi Avenue 1 area. You can see over here. So I rank by profit margin, right? You can see actually not all of them are the big units. Some of them are the 958, some of them are the 1,001 square feet. So if you ask me based on return on investment, you can see annualized. It does seem like the cost basis for the 958 square feet one makes more sense because you actually get a much lower initial outlay. But I think overall, if you don't have the smaller unit type and then you're still left with the big unit type, you can still go for those. Okay, so now we just do a deep dive. I won't be doing all the comparisons. Of course, I got a lot more, but due to time constraint and this is more for YouTube, I will be just sharing one example that I have picked out. Okay, so this is for the step one between a high floor and a low floor analysis at Clavon. So over here, you can see, right, this is 36th floor and this is the 10th floor. And these are both 958 square feet unit. So I think the main thing I want to take note is that the purchase date, right, one is December 2020 and then the other one is May 2021. So you can see the price gap is between 1,005 to 1,007 PSF. And then we have a price gap of about 160,000 at the point of purchase. So why I dig out these two transactions? Because they are sold almost in the same week. Okay, you can see, right, the high floor one, they actually managed to hit 2,300 PSF. But the 10th floor one only hit 2,000 PSF. So from here, the gap of about 160,000 initially, right, the gap actually ballooned to 200 plus. So higher floor, they actually bought later and they sold first. So from here, we can already see actually the buyers, they don't mind to pay extra 270,000, right? Just for a 20 floor height difference. So that is almost 10K per floor in the resale market. Okay. So from this, it's very clear that the buyers were more willing to pay for unblocked view and to pay the premium for it. So you can see for here, this is the step one at Clavon. So which one does it correspond to? It corresponds to over here. So over this block 466, and then this is the multi-story car park. So I think very obvious people would prefer the unblocked view and it's much higher. I think the car park is less than 10 floor. So the unit at the 10th floor probably can see a lot more of the car park from the top, but it's still not blocked. Yeah, but overall, you can see that people are still paying a lot more for the unblocked view. So to me, it seems like the budget is not a problem for you, then you should go for the higher floor one, because in the resale market, it has already been proven that the higher floor one gets sold first before the low floor unit. and at the same time, they are the exact same facing, same stack, and same size. Okay, so now for Clement Canopy's transactions. So I also go straight to the summary. So the profit margins, right, is quite similar for the big and small units. So similar story happening here. Higher floor means higher profit. So I mean, this is not a blanket statement, but overall, seems like what we can see from the resale buyers in Clement Canopy and Clavon over here. So this is how I will approach ELTA using the same approach. So yeah, if you found my today's sharing useful for you and you are actually looking at the upcoming launches for Orie, ELTA, even Parktown Residences, feel free to let me know, because for ELTA itself, I've not only done the research for the 3 bedrooms, but I also have done for the smaller types and the bigger types. So I think all this information is already enough for you to make an informed decision at ELTA itself. So do feel free to reach out to me using the QR code or the WhatsApp link below for your own personalized analysis and also the data that I can dig out for the different bedroom types for you. Alright, so with that, I hope you found my video useful, and if you had any valuable takeaways, feel free to leave me a subscribe and a like. And also, if you found a particular part of the video most interesting or useful for you, you can comment in the section below, and then I will see how I can implement this in my future videos or improve on that further. One more thing I want to add is that I think some of my clients have been asking me, is ELTA a better buy for investment, or is Orie a better buy for investment? So of course, all of that I already have my research and numbers already done for my clients. So if you are torn between ELTA or Orie or no Parktown, you want a second opinion, feel free to scan the QR code or WhatsApp me to find out more, okay? Because I think for particular bedroom types, I do see certain strength in Orie, I do see certain strength in ELTA. So it's not a blanket fits all kind of, this ELTA, everything is better than Orie. I don't think it should work this way. I only think certain bedroom types might be a better consideration for ELTA than to Orie, or to Orie to ELTA, certain bedroom types only. So I think with my analysis, it will be easier to see the full picture, and I'm quite sure my clients have a very firm strategy moving towards both launches. So that's it for today. Bye.